Welcome everybody to the January 4th, 2021 Newmarket Budget Committee meeting. We all made it out of 2020, so congratulations on that. And I'd like to start the meeting as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we ever go back to meeting in person, I'm going to miss that. We also, for the benefit of everybody watching, need to issue the notice that we are meeting remotely, which we are doing in accordance with Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12, which is pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04 that authorized town boards to meet electronically. Please note there's no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously, though the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are using the Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. All members of this board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom platform, and the public also has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting. Members of the public, if they would like to join, sorry, I'm going to get the instructions back on the screen, can dial in at area code 301-715-8592 and enter meeting code 926-371-29750. Again, that meeting code is 926-371-29750. We've provided the public with the necessary information to join the meeting. It's posted on the town's website at www.newmarketnh.gov. There are provisions made to alert the public body, us, during the meeting if there are problems with access. In that case, please call area code 602-292-1221. We will adjourn this meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event that happens, the meeting will be rescheduled. Please lastly note that we will take all votes during this meeting by roll call vote. So Tim, could you just confirm that we're live on channel 13? I did have one person text me and say that they were having difficulty seeing it there. Tim, are you there? All right, well.
Yep, I'm here. Just give me a second and I will confirm it. We should be all set.
Just want to make absolutely sure that that's, yeah, Gary has informed us in the chat that nothing is on channel 13 currently.
So we should be set. Let me check one more thing.
Well, that echo seems promising. Hi, can I ask who's just joined us? The phone number ending in 818?
That was Councilor Dumont. I am stuck at work, so I am in via phone.
Okay, thank you for joining us. We're waiting. Channel 13 is just trying to sort out whether we're going to be live on TV or not.
Sorry, I got stuck. I'm on my way back from Portland.
It's a nice place. And based on what Steve's told us in the past, we don't have to be live on TV since we did post the instructions to participate through Zoom. It's just, I think nice for the voters if we can be.
That is my understanding as well, yes.
All right, we should be good now.
All right, well, let's move forward then. First, as we usually do, we'll do attendance by roll call. So when I call your name, please affirm that it's you, and also let us know whether you're alone in the room where you are. Jeff?
Here and alone.
Roger?
Here and alone.
Mike LeBranch?
Here and alone.
Joe?
Here and alone.
Mike Kennison?
Here and alone.
Rob?
I'm here and alone.
Matt?
Here and alone.
What about that guy behind you with the tractor? Is he there?
Yes, he is.
Thanks. Eric?
Here and alone.
John?
Here and alone.
Zach?
Present and alone.
And I am here and by myself. So thank you, everybody. Moving into the agenda, we have two sets of minutes to review. So I'd start by looking for a motion on the minutes of the December 7th, 2020 meeting.
I move we accept the minutes of the December 7th meeting.
I'll second that. Did anybody see anything in the December 7th minutes that were at odds with your recollection? This was the very, very long meeting that we had, and apologize for not checking carefully because the first round of minutes that got sent out for this were actually for a meeting in Northampton. Roger?
Two items, line 174. There's a typo, I believe HEP should be HELP, help.
Okay. I think you're correct.
And on line 247,
All right.
I would suggest that prior to the, in the second line, following the word plus, before the $sign 2.04, insert the word state educational tax of, because the 204 is not explanatory, it's not explained what that is, and that is the state tax that allows you to get to the total cost of education as seen by the taxpayer.
That sounds very sensible to me. For your first one, Roger, could you give us, I'm not sure the line numbering is going to look the same on everyone's screen. Could you give a little more context around the sentence that you're referencing?
You're on mute, Roger.
Thank you. Okay, in the second paragraph, starting with Mr. Wygod, 171 on my, anyway, the fourth line, it should say, support teachers coming into the field to help them.
I see it now. I see what you're talking about right now. It says HEP. Good catch. Any other edits, or Joe?
Yeah, on line 119,
that statement is attributed to me. Okay. Dr. Givens asked the question. So Mr. Lamartine asked if the tuition was changed. That wasn't me. I think that was either Roger or Mike that said that.
That was me. I asked that question. That
Okay.
should be Roger.
All right, so on my screen, it shows up as line 118, but where it currently says Mr. Lamatina asked if tuition was charged for preschool, that should say Mr. Katie.
Correct.
Thank you. Jana, is something you,
Sorry, had trouble finding on mute. It's not a big deal, but on page 4, second paragraph down, when they're talking about New Hampshire retirement rates, I think the third line should have said the total increase on teacher salary and up. I'm sorry, contribution percentage is required with a more than 3% total increase. The actual increase is 3.22%. And I just didn't want it to get documented as flat 3 because that's not correct.
okay, thank you. And there also in that third line, I see that the word "and" appears twice and
Yeah,
is only needed once. So
that was my, yeah, that was my next one. And that one reads okay because I did say it was up almost 3%. It's up 2.89, so that still works.
Okay.
The first one was definitely at 3 and that's not correct.
okay, so that should read, the first instance of 3% should read 3.2%. Okay,
2.
thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff?
I've got 2 with similar problems.
Okay,
The 2 that I have are similar, not similar to what anyone else has said. So first paragraph of budget presentation, it's line 96 for me. It says educational technician integrator. I think that's technical integrator or technology integrator, I should say. No, I'm getting wrong.
Susan or Jana, would you happen to remember the exact term for that position?
A technology integrator.
Okay, thank you.
It does appear correct later, but there's another place where it's called tech intervention specialist when it should be integration. And that's the 9th paragraph of budget presentation, line 164 for me.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see that. It's, I think 162 on mine, but yeah, it should be technology integration specialist across the board. So
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it appeared to be one position, as long as, I don't know if
Yeah.
someone misspoke during the meeting, but if it wasn't a mistake, then they should all be the same position.
all right. Thank you, Jeff. Any other anything else anybody noted? All right, we'll do a roll call vote on accepting the minutes as amended. Jeff,
Aye.
Roger,
Aye.
thanks. Mike LeBranch,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Mike Kennison,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so we're unanimous in approving the minutes of the December 7th, 2020 meeting as amended. Moving on to the next thing on the agenda, the minutes of the meeting of December the 14th, 2020, which were also sent out with the agenda. I'd look for a motion to accept the minutes of the December 14th meeting.
I motion that we accept the minutes of the December 14th Budget Committee meeting.
Thank you, Joe. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Eric. Did anybody see anything in this in these
Yeah.
minutes that requires correction?
Line 77, I believe Nicole's last name is Benson, Benson.
That's correct. Thank you, Eric. Anything else? It all looks not a long meeting. All right. So we'll do a roll call vote on whether to accept the minutes from the December 14th meeting as we've just amended them. Jeff?
Aye.
Roger? I see you saying aye, Roger, but you're on mute.
Aye.
Mike LeBranch?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Mike Kennison?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are unanimous in approving the minutes of the December 14th, 2020 meeting as amended. So now, moving on to new business. Susan pointed out, and I think she's correct, that there weren't any lingering requests of the school district with regard to their budget beyond what we already addressed in the working session. So I think that agenda item became kind of extraneous. So if nobody has anything they'd like to do first, I'd like to formally open the public hearing on the school district's 2021-2022 fiscal year operating budget. All right, hearing no objection, at 7:19 p.m. we'll open that public hearing, and I'd like to invite the superintendent to start with any introductory remarks or anything anything she'd like to say before we open this to public comment.
First, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2021. The budget proposal presented to you addresses some targeted needs for the upcoming year. Although we don't anticipate having a COVID-19 environment when we prepared the budget, we have made some provisions in the budget to support students who may have some learning gaps as a result of this unorthodox environment that they're learning in today. So just as maybe a quick reminder that there are a couple of positions that we have requested, the technology integration specialist being one, but also a full-time teacher at the elementary school to help us keep our class sizes at the lower end of the spectrum at all grade levels. There'll be some shifting of staff between grade levels based on enrollments, but the net sum result would just be a 1.0 increase in teaching staff there. At the junior senior high school, we're also making some adjustments in assignments for teachers, but we are asking for support for a part-time art teacher. We currently have a part-time position in the budget, in the current year budget, and this would increase the position to a full-time FTE in the upcoming year. And this will provide us, right now we're sharing staff between the two schools. So this will allow us to have a dedicated arts person at the middle school level and one at the high school level so that we can actually enhance programming and opportunities for kids at both levels. In addition to that, we've requested the reinstatement of an ELO coordinator. That position was introduced for a couple of years, back about 3 years ago, and was eliminated. I'm not exactly sure why. But we'd like to reintroduce that on a part-time basis in the upcoming year. And aside from that, our budget is really pretty much a level service budget. We have a little bit of money in for some technology software, some library books, and a little bit of furniture for these new positions that we're adding, so that if we get the integrator position as proposed, that we'd be able to purchase a desk for them to, and a chair and such for them to use. So in total, those increases for new items would represent about 28% of the increase that we're asking for, or approximately $333,000. So, I've done several presentations on this and don't really think it's important at this time to go on and on about things we've already talked about. So with that just brief overview, I would just turn it over for any comments or answer any questions folks may have.
All right. So we'll at 7:23 p.m. I'll open the floor for public comment. Give a minute here for anyone who might want to jump in. All right, hearing none at 7:24 p.m. we will close public comment for the public hearing for the school district's fiscal year 2021-22 budget. And at this point, we will open it up for comments, questions, or motions from members of the committee. So if you'd like to speak, just wag your hands on the screen so I can see you, and we'll try to keep it orderly. Roger?
I move we accept the budget as proposed for the school district.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that?
I second that.
Thank you, Eric.
Do you have to state the amount?
Yeah, actually, Roger, if you wouldn't mind stating the amount in your motion, just so we have that as part of it.
I have to find that.
Okay, I'll do it. $24,421,660.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Include that in the motion.
All right, so we'll a small friendly amendment from Joe to add that dollar amount to the motion that Roger made. And Eric, do you, as the person who seconded it, do you accept that small friendly amendment?
Yes, I re-second.
Thank you.
And to be thorough, we may want to reference the default budget amount as well, because that will be in the language in the vote.
I don't think we need to, because we don't set the default budget. We don't vote on the default budget, and the exact wording of the warrant article is boilerplate. It's set by state law. So this is, we kind of, I remember we get into this discussion a little bit, at least every other year. For warrant articles other than the budget, we do actually have to vote on the specific wording, because even though that wording may be heavily influenced by state law, it's not prescribed by state law. But for the actual operating budget warrant article, all of the wording is prescribed by state law. So really all we're voting on is the dollar amount that's being proposed. Because again, the default budget is calculated in accordance with state law. There's really no leeway there. So, that it's a little bit different when for the budget warrant as opposed to any others and obviously we only vote on warrants that have a taxation impact. So,
Very well. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Any other comments or motions or questions? I am looking at the screen and I am not seeing or hearing anybody at this time, so it seems that we're ready to vote. We'll do a roll call vote on the school budget, which again, I want to have the exact number in here. So or actually, I think I'm looking at an outdated presentation. 24,421,660. Is that the right number?
Yep.
All right. So we'll do a roll call vote on Roger's motion to approve the school district's proposed fiscal year 2021-2022 budget in the amount of $24,421,660. Jeff?
Aye.
Roger?
Aye.
Mike LaBranch?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Mike Kennison?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We are unanimous in approving the school district's budget for fiscal year 2021-2022 as proposed. Moving along to other business, I put this on the agenda knowing that Steve probably wasn't going to be able to be with us this evening, but he did send me an email mentioning it, so I at least wanted to bring it up. The town council is going to move forward with the bond issue for new road construction. I don't want to I'll quickly summarize. This was brought up in, I believe, our working session on the town budget, that we have an opportunity to get, I believe, some state matching funds. If I remember correctly, that was in the form of loan forgiveness or bond loan forgiveness
I
for
believe it was
construction.
10% of the
Okay.
amount that was bonded.
Right. Thank you, Zach. For work on new road, in the opinion of Steve and of the town council, this is work that we're ultimately going to have to do anyway in the not too distant future. So it's a good opportunity to get partial state funding for it. As I understand it, the exact wording and exact content of that warrant has yet to be voted on by the town council. So consequently, we're not able to vote on it, to hold the hearing on it this evening, which kind of brings me to the next point that I was going to make. We have the reserve date on January the 14th on our calendar, which we put there specifically because it's 2 days after the January 12th deadline for petition warrant articles that might come in from the public body. I believe we're going to need that meeting, first of all, for the new road construction warrant that the town is going to put forward. But I'm told that we should also anticipate 2 warrant articles from the school district above and beyond the operating budget. One of them we've discussed previously. It's the same warrant that we had last year, the up to $50,000 of remaining budget that would be contributed to the fund for the elementary school playground. The second one is a little more technical in nature. It has to do with the warrant that the voters approved this most recent year for the money for furniture for the school. The school district felt they were not in a position to expend all of that this year because the requirements of COVID meant that we actually needed less furniture in the buildings as opposed to more. And we didn't, as Susan explained it to me. Well, actually, you know what, Susan, it's probably better if you explain this because I'm just paraphrasing. So if you could quickly walk us through what the nature of what is anticipated in that second warrant.
Sure. And thank you very much for your support of our budget for next year. So last year we had several warrant articles that were put before the town, all of which passed. And one of them was for $421,000 roughly. Most of that we're going to be able to queue up for this year, as we had hoped. But one of the items that was included in those warrant articles was the procurement of furniture. And we are not in a position to be able to buy any furniture this year because we have to store much of the furniture that we have in order to make sufficient space to ensure we're able to social distance within our classrooms. And so we have moved out anything that's not absolutely bare essentials from the classrooms. And then the other part of that is the building project was not complete and we were not able to fully move into the space because COVID hit. And at the end of last year, nobody returned to school. And so we've not been able to be in the facility using it as we normally would. And it's at those times that you identify additional furniture needs that you couldn't anticipate unless you were in the building. And so the money in the warrant article, a portion of it was for furniture for this reason. And unless and until kind of this COVID era passes, we're really not in a position to move forward with ordering those items. And even if we did, we would just be ordering them and putting them in storage because we can't add more in our current environment. So that's what that's about. And when the warrant articles were passed, it wasn't passed with the understanding that the warrant article money would be put into a separate fund, so a capital project fund. And so at the end of this year, if we don't encumber it, then the money is no longer available to us for this purpose. So what this warrant article would essentially do would just be to allow us to take this money and set it in a capital project fund so that when we come back to a more normal environment, we're able to move forward and purchase the furniture as was previously approved by the taxpayers. So that's what that one's about.
So I'll open it to general questions in a moment, but I did want to just throw like one quick item of clarification, I guess. So this is just rolling over money that's already there and therefore wouldn't have an incremental tax impact in the current year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Roger, was that what you were about to ask?
What I was going to clarify.
So sorry, I stole your thunder. Any other questions for Susan about either of the warrants that we believe might be approved by the school board?
This is Matt. I had a quick question, and just Dan, let me know if this is out of line or not. But because of the era of COVID that we're in, I see, there's a hardship with people that are unemployed or going back to work. I'm wondering, I'm just going to throw this out there. Does it make sense to see what the interest would be in maybe modifying some of the fund accounts to allow access for emergency uses, such as what we find ourselves in today? I mean, I saw the school at the end of the year takes a portion of their funding that's remaining and they're allowed to appropriate it into miscellaneous funds. And I see us as somewhat exposed in the sense of COVID-19 and the budget's not really reflecting of what we may or may not find. But rather than pigeonhole us into restricting certain monies for specific items, I wonder if there's not maybe another way to look at potentially changing the use of those funds, those accounts, I should say, to allow usage on a one-time basis during this COVID-19 era that we're in now.
I mean, could you just give us like a general example of what I think I'm following you, but could you give us just like a hypothetical example of what you're thinking about?
Well, the furniture, right? The furniture, I know, maybe that's not the greatest. Well, let's use the furniture, right? We have $400,000 that they've approved. The town's already approved it. If, and it seems like they're kind of doing that now. They're going to make a special fund for it. But let's say that there's, the computer issues come back up and around. And let's say that it's a combination, right? It's not specifically called out as technology. Let's say it's a combination. Right now, you have to use it specifically for computers. Let's say that if they can pool up some of that money, and I know that, I'm not impacting, I don't want to impact like special services for those populations that need it, but other areas that we could use it, but we're not limited, that we're limited now because of the way that those funds were set up and structured. You have building improvements. I think there's a fund, correct me if I'm wrong, Susan, there's a building improvement fund. Let's say you have to use that for, something where it's COVID related that we're not planning for. Well, we wouldn't be able to use those funds unless you went back to the town and asked for more funds. If we had some sort of allowance or an exception that would allow the school board to use those funds for those specific reasons. I mean, maybe it's not the best explanation, but it's just, having availability to those funds that are sitting in the accounts. And maybe there's an exception or something that could come up and allow us to use that.
All right. I would kind of throw the question to Jana and Susan being our experts. It sounds like the kind of thing that in the past people have said state law isn't too keen on the idea of repurposing trust funds, but I'll leave it to the experts here.
Well, I think there's two things, and Janice certainly can give a more detailed explanation if you'd like. But I think there's different types of funds with different properties, and the rules around those different types of funds vary. So if it's a trust fund that's set up, my understanding is that it's set up, as you've described, Matt, for a specific concrete purpose, technology or building improvements, special education. We have another one for that. And you can't use those resources for anything other than that. And one of the challenges, and this is to your point, Matt, when Jana and I were talking about this, the need to maybe present this warrant article was that our building improvement fund is not broad enough to allow us to just use that for the purpose of this furniture, right? We would really have to set up another trust fund because it's so restricted in the way that it was approved at town meeting. So I think there's a lot to be said for not pigeonholing yourself, having, when you approve these funds to have these trust funds, that you give yourself enough wiggle room to be able to include all things that might fall into that purpose for those purposes. But if it's for the operating budget, my understanding is that there is latitude that's provided under the law that if we have an appropriation on a line item and we need more money on one line item for, let's say, sanitary products, disinfectants and stuff, we can transfer money from one line that we're not using to another line. And of course, there's policies around that. So I think we do have built into our operating budget mechanisms to be able to make adjustments, but those same rights are not applicable to the trust funds. They're really specific. Did I explain that right, Jana?
Yeah.
Jana, you went back on mute somehow right before you started speaking again.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, everything Susan said is accurate. And what I would add to that is that Matt's point is very well taken. And as he wrote the language for the proposed warrant article, if the school board approves it when it does come to you, you're going to see that we broadened the purpose of that fund so that, because right now, none of our trust funds allow us to purchase furniture, none of them. And, certainly things can come up. This situation kind of nailed that home. So We did change, we used the same language that was originally proposed in the warrant article last year that was for furnishing, equipping, repairing, and renovating in that new trust fund. Just for that very same reason, Matt, so that we could use it more flexibly if we do find ourselves in another crazy year like this one.
All right. Thank you. I mean, I guess I'll kind of kick it back to you, Matt. I appreciate the idea and the commentary. I'm not sure, was there anything more concrete that you were wanting to do with it, or just
No,
offer the?
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything that we can do or I can do. I would just wanted to get clarity out there. If people are thinking along those lines going down the road that, just like the furniture, in theory, we could use that, maybe there's wiggle room. Maybe there's an opportunity here that maybe the wording on those original accounts or trust funds can be added to or amended to reflect with an exception during a pandemic, as issued by the governor or something to that effect, to allow the boards to use those funds during special events. But other than that,
It's a possibility. The governor is, I just also a quick heads up I'll give everyone. Steve is still working through what the deliberative session is going to look like, because it kind of goes without saying that it's not going to look like, 10% of the town's voters all crammed into the high school gym. That just can't happen this year. So anyway, he's anticipating getting some sort of final guidance from the governor, as far as probably another subsequent executive order that lets the deliberative session take on a different form. I don't know that we have any idea what that is yet. But Zach might be about to tell us. Zach, were you coming off mute, or?
No, not intentionally.
Okay, sorry, I heard you and
No, I think
thought
we
you
are
were about
still
to enlighten
waiting.
us.
No, I'm sorry. I believe at this point we are still waiting to hear back from Steve. He has been trying to update us at each council meeting. It was my intention to actually ask on Wednesday night to see if he had heard back yet, because it is a very gray area right now.
All right. So anyway, the upshot of all of this is I think, are definitely going to need that January the 14th meeting. Does anybody have any conflicts? Roger?
I'm sorry, no conflict on the January 14th, but I wanted to ask Jana the question. Is this warrant article to create a trust fund then?
Well, again, it has to go to the school board first, but what we are thinking of doing, it will be to create a trust fund that will have a purpose that will encompass the furniture, because right now we couldn't put money into an existing one and then be able to use it for furniture.
Okay, there is no way to create a fund other than trust funds, because under state law, trust funds are narrowed to whatever the definition is. But there is no way to create a fund other than a trust fund. Is that correct?
Well, it's not really a fund, but if you have, say, for example, we knew what our furniture needs were going to be, and we just couldn't get the order put in until July, we could encumber those funds in a purchase order at the end of the year. The school board would vote on that, and that would allow us to hold that money. But Susan, after discussions with Susan, we just don't know that we're going to know exactly what we want in July. And we certainly don't want to spend money on something that we don't need, or not purchase something that we do, just because we're trying to meet a deadline. We just think we can be a lot more responsible and thoughtful about the process if we have some more time to get outside of COVID. And a revolving trust fund is one of the few ways that you can carry money forward that can benefit multiple years.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
All right, and Channel 13 is also just passed along through the meeting here that Conservation Commission is the only conflict for Thursday. Is Conservation Commission is meeting, and ordinarily their meeting would be the one that gets televised on Channel 13. I'll take it as an action to kind of bring that up with Steve and maybe I don't know who really has control over Channel 13, but perhaps the council could decide which, as between a public hearing on the warrant articles or the Conservation Commission, which one has sort of the overriding public interest to have it be live on Channel 13. I'll take that question to Steve this evening. So that's all we have for an agenda this evening. Does anybody else have any other business they'd like to bring up? Roger?
I remember asking Steve for more detail on the receipts revenue portion of the budget. And he said he would furnish that. And I haven't seen it, but I may have missed it in some of the emails.
All right, I'll add that to my email to Steve, asking about next Thursday night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike LaBranch?
Yes, just a quick question. I know every year that the town and the school has an audit done. Does the budget committee get copies of the audit, or is that just something that's in the town report?
The past couple of years, we've for the school district in particular, I know we've gotten copies of the audit. I don't remember seeing copies of the town's audit. I don't think that's because it's a big secret. I think it's candidly just because we haven't asked. So I'm racking up bullets for my email to Steve here, but I'll put that in there.
Okay.
I agree. I think it would be a good idea for the budget committee to get copies of both town and school audits.
I don't disagree.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
All right. Any other business? I am hearing none. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Thank you,
Second.
Roger. Thank you, Mike LaBranch. We'll do a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Roger?
Aye.
Mike LaBranch?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Mike Kennison?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are unanimous and we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening.